My next guest will take on Don Shainis at Cage Titan 60 on July the 22nd. And of course, it is Robert Wusstig on the show. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, man. And I understand that you're training at Nostos for this camp. Tell me, how did this all come about?
Man, I've recently fought, Nate Grimard and NEF, and after that we just connected on, IG, and then he was asking me to come out to about to train with them sometime, and I just took this opportunity to come out here and then train the last 2 weeks of this camp.
Very cool. Yeah, and good group of people there at Nostos. I'm sure you're
Yes, it is.
learning day in and day out there. You mentioned the fight with Grimard. I was right there cage side watching that fight. It's a tough fight, man. Obviously, he used his wrestling there. How do you feel like you grew from that fight? And you also fought someone in Mo Kanani, another really tough fighter recently.
Man, with Grimard, I knew that he was a wrestler, a good, great wrestler, and honestly, I didn't really train my wrestling as much for that fight camp, like because where I'm from, or like where I'm staying at right now in Syracuse, not much, wrestling or MMA gyms. That I just recently found one too at Ultimate Athletics in Phoenix, New York, and they're a great bunch of people. But then I just started training with them for that camp for like the last 2 weeks of that camp too. So still trying to adjust to it and working on it, working on every aspect of this game.
And you've been in there with a lot of high level opposition. Nathaniel Grimard has a big opportunity, the biggest fight of his career next month for PFL, as I'm sure you know about that now. How good do you feel like Nathaniel's wrestling is compared to other people regionally?
Like he was actually one of the first, collegiate wrestlers that I have fought. So I'm not really, too sure with like the guy, like people I fought, all of Asia, like Japan, Korea, and that's some good wrestlers. But I don't think the same category as Nate's, wrestling was,
Mhm.
or is.
And I'm sure you're getting a lot of working with him now, right, at Nostos, right now that you're there
Yes,
training. Okay.
yes.
It, is this something where you're going to come back to the gym and get some training in the future, do you think?
Oh, for sure, of course, man. I love the people out here, man. Like the hospitality that Devin, gives out here, and all the training people out here is like, it's like second to none. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah, for
conditioning, the jiu-jitsu, the wrestling, the MMAs, everything is really like, it's really good out here.
Yeah, and I've interviewed, I feel like pretty much the whole team at this point or close to it. So, I talked to them a lot about, what makes Devin, such a great coach. But for someone that's new there, that's just, learning under him now, like, can you speak on that? What is it about the coaching staff at Nostos that really stands out to you?
They just want what's best for, each fighter as they grow, as they, come to train. He really wants them to grow, you know, physically and like mentally, and like this, getting the best training as they possibly can for each fight they have. Like they're fighting this guy that's a good wrestler, they're gonna train that and try to get better at everything else. That's what I feel like here. Like even if I've been here for 2 weeks, I feel like I've like mentally and physically felt, one of the best I felt, in a long time coming
Where are
into
you
this fight
staying
that
right
I'm
now?
fighting.
Are you like in a guest house?
Yeah, I'm staying at Devin's house, like, living with him and stuff like that. It's a blessing, I don't have to pay for rent or what I mean, like, come out,
100%. They're,
find
they're
my own
taking
place.
care of the
Yeah.
food as well.
Like I got my own because I'm working with an actual professional nutritionist, Eric Pena. So like he helped out with one of the couple of like the best fighters out of MMA. So and I'm working with him now. So I'm my eating habits is way better now. So I feel like I'm in like one of the best shapes I've been in so far. So
What's your weight at today? And what's the cut normally like for you?
uh my weight right now is honestly is like I wake up like 165, 66, and we're fighting in a cafe at 150. Originally supposed to be at 145, but you know what I mean? Like, I guess things happen with my opponent, I don't know.
So making 150, that'll be easy peasy with where you're at right
Oh,
now.
easy. I'm like at 165, and it's easy cut. I don't usually cut until like the last 3 days of before the weigh-ins. You know what I mean? I don't want to start myself for like 2 weeks or like a week that I see people do.
For sure.
So I'm just I'm just listening to what my nutritionist tells me, and I go from there.
Very good. In June, that was your last fight, Combat FC4, round 3 RNC victory over Leonardo Ladera. How important was that for you, Robert, to not only get a finish, but to kind of snap that 3-fight skid you were on?
Man, it was like a blessing, man. Like, you know, it's like it was like my mindset for that fight. I was like, I'm gonna go in there and win, no matter what I got to do. So I'm gonna go in there and win, because no, Leo's a great fighter. Like, he was big. You know what I mean? Like, surprised it was that big. But like my mindset, I think it was just my mindset period for that fight was like, I'm not gonna lose. I'm gonna go in there and do what I got to do to finish.
Yeah,
And I
you
felt
got the
that,
job
yeah.
done. And that another great promotion right there, Combat FC, UFC Fight Pass. The main card is on. What was it like fighting for that promotion?
Man, it's good. It's like my first fight out here in the States, you know what I mean? Because I'm from a small island of Guam, so I fought only in Guam's, Saipan, Korea, Japan, Philippines. But, my first time out here is fighting for Combat FC, and, they treat me pretty good. So, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and for
Very
that
cool.
first one, it was a 3-year layoff for that fight. So it was like, I had that jitters, honestly. Like, if I fought the way I fought Leo against Mo, I probably would finish it, to be honest with you. I don't know. That's in my opinion. Like, if I had that mindset that I had when I fought Leo, then
And do you think that was just kind of like a confidence thing with being away for so long?
in my opinion, yeah, it was. Even my wife was telling me, like, I can see that you're very, nervous in there. And I'm like, I mean, like 3 years, and it's like I didn't expect it. I felt good, but it's just I didn't expect it. And I felt with Mo, like, I thought he was coming more, aggressive. I thought he was gonna come in with more punches, but he came in with those leg kicks, and I'm just like, I didn't expect it. So I was like, you know, it happened.
Well, I wanted to ask just where you see your future here in MMA going, what your goals are, because if you just call it like it is, a lot of people when they look at someone, sometimes they look at their record and they're like, oh, well, this guy's never going to get to the UFC or whatever. But you've been in there with a lot of high level fighters, like we've talked about. So where's your head at right now? Like, what is it you want to accomplish? Where do you see yourself, a year or two from now?
And a year from two, I feel like I'm gonna be like in Bellator,
Mhm.
PFL, you know what I mean, or if UFC calls, I wouldn't mind taking it, but you know what I mean. Like, I see myself there, and the Bellator cage and fighting, for those Grand Prix at 145, 155. It don't matter. I just want to fight the best. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just here to take care of my family. I got a wife and 4 kids to take care of. So I gotta, I want to do this full time, so
Right.
I can showcase my skills at the highest level. Because if I'm just training part time, like working a full time job, and doing what I got to do, I got to do this full time, and so I can showcase my the best I can.
What would a win over Don Shainis, a guy that we just saw in the UFC for a couple of fights, what would that signify? Do you feel like that would kind of open up a lot of promotions' eyes across the country here?
Definitely will, because Don's a fighter, for cage titans, and you know beating people, and then fighting UFC twice. You know what I mean? Fighting against, like, what's his last fight against Jenkins. That fight was
Yeah.
pretty good. He showed a lot of heart. Even though he got lost by decision. You know what I mean, he showed a lot of heart. So I'm looking for this fight to be like. I feel like he didn't come in aggressive, because he doesn't really know how I fight. And he predicted it like he's gonna come and finish me fast. You know what I mean? So it's like, after basing out the fight against Mo, you know, I changed a lot from that fight. So I don't know. It's gonna be a fun fight though.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about his fight with Jack Jenkins. That's another tough guy right there. So he's been in there like yourself with a lot of high level fighters. Where do you
Yeah,
feel like is there a weak part of his game, like an aspect where you feel like you're just going to be able to kind of get the better of him on?
man. I just feel like my heart and like just my skill set, like, on top. Like, I haven't really showed it as much, but my outside strikes, like my inside too, like my up and down shots, my body shots. Like, I haven't really showed it much, because I was fighting taller opponents, you know what I mean, and I fighting a wrestler, so it was different, different, stylistically, yeah. But like, you know what I mean, like I feel like with Don, like I know he's gonna come out with those body shots overhand and try to take me down and ground and pound me, but a lot of those things don't really work on me, honestly. Like I feel like, especially training here at Nostos, man, it's like they push me to the next level, like my cardio's gonna be better. Like I feel like you know, my hands are gonna be better. It's like sharpening up. My skill set out here is like I feel great. My mindset feels good. And like I'm not gonna, I feel like I'm gonna finish this fight, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you too. I mean, if Don comes out strong and he's looking to get you out of there early, and that doesn't come to fruition, and this fight gets into the second and third round, do you feel like your cardio is on par or better than his? Like you talked about, you're working on your cardio right now at Nostos, but talk on that a little bit. Just where you feel like
And like I'm not worried about my cardio period, honestly. Like I've always been in great shape every fight. Man, I fought at 35 before too. So, you know what I mean? Like 55, 65. And I fought in there with the best, best guys from Korea, from Japan. And those guys have workaholics. And, I fought like five round fights, championship fights. So, I'm not really
okay.
worried about the cardio. I'm just focused on like, sharpening up my skills to like, defend what he's going to do to me. And I've been working a lot like that. You know what I mean? Like I watch every fight he has fought, and like I watch it every day. I just want to win this fight so bad, and show everyone that I belong in there with the best. You know what I mean?
Without giving your game plan away, what area do you feel like you're going to hold the advantage over Don? And is there a certain area of the game where you just feel like you're, leaps and bounds better than him?
Man, like I think like everyone says now, like if I just put my forward pressure, just go with my boxing, man. It's like it's hard to read my boxing when I'm putting forward pressures, and I noticed that when he gets forward pressure, he gets frustrated a lot. So I'm like, and I seen he got dropped a couple of times, in this fight. So it's like I'm not scared to let go. Like once I let go and I feel my movement going, man, I don't think I have that groove where once I get going, I don't stop.
Mm-hmm. So you said you think you're going to get him out of there. Give me your official prediction. How ultimately does this fight end?
Man, I don't. I see it ending like 3 minutes in the first round, 3 minutes first round or second round, mid second round. I just don't see it ending. It's just especially how I fight and how he fights. Like it's not going to decision because especially fighting in his hometown or where he's from, I can't let that thing go past
Right.
scorecards. So I'm looking
TKO?
for a finish. I'm
TKO
looking for
submission?
I'm looking for TKO, but I see myself, talking him out with a head and arm.
Okay. All right. And I wanted to ask you too, Robert. You're a father. You got 4 kids, like you said. How difficult is that being away from them? And how hard is it when you're just in camp normally to kind of balance your family life with all the training that you have to do?
Man, it was hard because I'm working a full-time job at FedEx, and that's like a 10-hour shift job, and working that, and I work in a warehouse, so that's physically demanding. And then coming home and taking care of the kids, feeding them, and helping my wife out with all the chores at home, and then going to the gym, training, trying to get there in time, and working, a schedule out, and but I gotta give it to my wife, man. She puts a lot into this, like it's crazy, man. It feels so, it's a blessing for my wife to be able to be there to support me. It's a struggle for her, but like she agreed for me to come out here to Nostos for the last 2 weeks, because she knows what I want in this, in this fight game. I want to fight in the best organization and be the best I can. You know what I mean? So
And how old are you now?
I'm turning 34 like in 2 weeks, a week and a half maybe.
Okay. So you're still a young guy. You got plenty of time left.
I feel like I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, honestly. So I feel like I'm still in my prime.
All right. One last thing for me, Robert. I got to ask you. I do the play-by-play commentary for New England Fights, which is where you fought Nathaniel Grimard. Any chance we're going to get you back to NEF in the future? How did they treat you? How did you like fighting for them?
No, I I've, it was fun. You know, what I mean, like they treated me really good. You know, they're guiding me through everything else, and you know, what I mean, like I was actually supposed to fight for them July 8th, but then like I just fought like what June 16th, and then I had like a big hematoma on my leg, so I wasn't gonna, I told him I wasn't gonna make it out, and then Kitchens came at me with an offer that I couldn't really, turn down,
Mhm.
and I was already healed like the week before this. Before I came out here, I felt better, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take this fight. You know,
Yeah, I mean, you get a name like Don Shainis too. You can't turn that one down. A win over Don, that's going to be huge for your career, man. Well, I'm excited to see it again. July 22nd, Cage Titan 60. Robert Wusstig meets Don Shainis, catchweight bout of 150. Fantastic interview for the first time, my man. Before we do sign off, any sponsors you have? Anyone you want to thank? The floor is yours.
man, I'd just like to thank my wife and kids for supporting me, and I'd like to thank you know, Angela Fight Team back in Syracuse and Liverpool, New York, and then Ultimate Athletics for helping me with this fight coming up too as well, and then especially Nostos MMA for having me out here, and it's a blessing to come out here to be part of the team. It's like it's gonna be a fun ride. This fight's gonna be amazing. I think it might be the fight of the night, to be honest with you.